Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, and especially my good friends from the media, thank you very much to all of you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. And in any case, my family and advisors have warned me not to tell my favorite story about arriving at heaven's door, knocking, providing my name, and being sent to the other place. Apparently, that story makes too many people morose. What I've come to do here this morning is to make an appeal more than an announcement. I'm turning 86 in a few weeks' time, and that is a longer life than most people are granted. I have the added blessing of being in very good health, at least according to my doctors. One of the things that made me long to be back in prison was that I had so little opportunity for reading, thinking, and quiet reflection after my release. I intend, amongst other things, to give myself much more opportunity for such reading and reflection. And when I told one of my advisors a few months ago that I wanted to retire, he growled at me, "Coach, you are retired." If that is really the case, then I should say, I now announce that I'm retiring from retirement. I do not intend to hide away totally from the public, but henceforth, I want to be in the position of calling you to ask whether I would be welcome, rather than being called upon to do things and participate in events. The appeal, therefore, is, don't call me. I'll call you.
Second lesson, about respect. The South African Rugby Union challenged President Mandela during his presidency after he established a commission of inquiry into sports affairs. Now, it was a private body, and they felt that the president had no business interfering with the private body's affairs, and they challenged him to go to court. President Mandela insisted on going to court to defend his own decisions. We arrived in court that day, and Mr. Mandela walked right up to the defense, to the South African Rugby Union lawyers, shaking hands with them, conversing with them each in their own language. And I wanted to protest. I was still very young, and I wanted to stop him. The people have got the audacity to challenge his authority, and he walks up to them and he greets them. So during tea time, I confronted him. I said, "Why did you do that?" And he told me two of the most important things he ever said. You never allow the enemy to determine the grounds for battle. And the way you approach a person will determine how that person treats you.
Our coverage continues. Now, one man who was close to the former president is his former bodyguard, Rory Steyn, and joins us now. Rory, good morning to you and welcome.
Your story is so poignant in the sense that you went from regarding Nelson Mandela as a man who was a terrorist to a man who you would eventually be prepared to lay down your life for.
Yes.
What was it that catalyzed the change? What was it that caused your relationship
Your
to
own
evolve?
long walk in many ways.
Yes, indeed. And you're correct. Bear in mind, before I became one of the team leaders of Madiba's protection team, I was a security branch policeman in the notorious John Vorster Square security branch. And we were trained, very well trained. We understood, fully understood ANC ideology. We were trained in what the party believes. We used to read the Seshaba. And when Madiba was released from prison in February 1990, I can remember well the first speech publicly that he made was on the Grand Parade in Cape Town. And quoting from the Freedom Charter, a document I believe that doesn't fully receive the recognition that it should. It's a marvelous document. But he said that South Africa is for all her people, both black and white. And I remembered going, yeah, whatever. Of course you're going to say that. That's the party line. Don't expect anything different. But it wasn't until about 3 or 4 years later when I first met Madiba, started to work with him, and watched very carefully to see when this facade of, South Africa's for all her people would crumble, and when the real, hardline communist terrorist would come through. And of course the facade never cracked because it wasn't a facade.
Can you share with us, Rory Steyn, some of the conversations that you had with him?
Well, the one conversation that I think I should mention, because you alluded to it a few seconds ago, was right after some of my former colleagues had been either convicted of or given amnesty for the bombing of Kotso House. A report appeared, I think, in the New Nation or the Weekly Mail, where one of my former colleagues had decided to spill the beans and open the lid on the box of dirty tricks of the former security branch. And there was an article there stating that it said Lieutenant Rory Steyn, now a major, had led the recce into Kotso House for the bombing raid. Astounded. Yes, I was in there one morning early. We were told by our commander of the churches section in the branch that there was some banned literature in a certain office. We found a way into the Kotso House through the parking basement, tried the door of this office, it was locked, and our commander said, "Get out, let's go." And I think, what do you mean, let's go? We're going to let a locked door defeat us? Out we went. A few months later, the building explodes. Many months later, now in Parliament, after Mr. de Klerk had taken the step of withdrawing from the Government of National Unity to become opposition, there's a debate in Parliament about affirmative action. And I think Mr. de Klerk said something along the lines of it was reverse racism. And Madiba took exception to this. And he said, "You can come and look at all of my staff. They are a full representation of the demographic of this country. And the head of my security is a white major who was responsible for bombing Kotso House." And I was like,
He could have had you sacked for that.
Of course he could have. And of course the intelligence, when they finally woke up that this Rory Steyn that they're talking about in the newspaper is actually the team leader. I got a call from the commander of the Presidential Protection Unit. He said, "Look, Rory, we need to take this to the president." I said, "Of course you need to take it to the president." And then he said, I said to him, "Look, if Madiba wants me removed, then I would like an opportunity to see him." And he said, "Well, wait outside. You can't come into the meeting." And that was the day when I went and explained what I'm explaining to you two now. When I went and explained that to the president after this speech in Parliament, and he said, "It's okay. We're not after those who gave the commands anyway. We're not after the foot soldiers. We want those who gave the commands." And that was the time that I reckoned, all right, if necessary, with that kind of loyalty. He took me on thinking that I was this, responsible for this. Only got an opportunity to clear the air 4 years later, but that was the day that I knew if I need to, I would give my life.
Quite a story.
A defining moment for you, certainly, Rory.